Is it worth your money? Let's find out. Welcome back to the channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. In this video, I thought I'd do an overview of the ICOM M94DE. This is the handheld. I've used it quite a bit, so I thought I'd give a bit of an overview on the practicalities of it, particularly as it's the radio that's promoted with the AIS receive function. And I'll let you know how I got on with that after we've gone through some of the details of the radio. Welcome to Go On Boating Product Review. Quick disclaimer, I'm not sponsored at all by ICOM. What have we got in the box? Well, we've got the radio, of course. We have the antenna, the belt clip, the hand strap, and the battery pack to make it go. We also have the charging cradle and, of course, the power cable. Let's take a look at some of the specifics. Including the battery pack, antenna, and the belt clip, she weighs in at 357 grams, which is 12.6 ounces. The radio has a maximum transmitting power of 6 watts, which I think is the maximum legally permitted in the UK for a handheld.
So what's the standout feature of the radio? It's probably not what you're thinking, or at least as far as I'm concerned. The biggest attraction for this radio for me was volume. This has 1,500 milliwatts of output, which is absolutely fantastic when, like me, spending most of your time on the rib, so there's no enclosure. You're out in the open, you've got the noise of the elements, the sound of the water slapping the hull, and of course a dirty great big outboard on the back making a lot of racket as you push along. What I find is that the mounted radios, they can be a little bit quiet, particularly if you're not in an enclosure, and some of the handhelds don't have quite the output that this has. So that's a real standout feature. Bit of a safety aspect as far as I'm concerned, because it's good to be able to hear the information that's being passed to you, to make sure that you understand the instructions and exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Standout feature number 2 was the transmitting power of the radio. This has got 6 watts of transmitting power, which is 1 watt more than most of the handhelds. Not all of them, but most of the handhelds that are available on the market. That additional watt, certainly in an emergency situation, extends that reach, which hopefully means that there are that many more people that are able to respond should you need it. Hopefully we never will. Feature number 3, the float and flash. If you drop this overboard, first thing is it floats, which is great, makes recovery that much easier. Certainly easier than trying to pick it off the bottom of the ocean. And it also flashes, which aids in being able to locate it. I haven't thrown this out the boat just to make sure that it does float and does flash, but I think other people have tried them in the bath and confirmed that they do float. The big feature for me though is that it has a man overboard function. So if, like me, you wear it strapped to your life jacket or about your person, it does mean that if you happen to decide to get out the boat unexpectedly, when the radio gets wet, it will trigger the man overboard feature, providing you have that set up. That then means it's going to alert people that you've decided to go swimming, and hopefully someone will be good enough to come back and pick you up. Charging and battery life. So it takes initially 3 hours charge. That's when you first get it taken out of the box. They recommend that you plug it in and give it a charge before you do anything. And it lasts for about 10 hours. Bearing in mind that I've had this for about 2 to 3 months, I've only had to charge it once in all of that time. So the battery life is pretty good.
And what about actually using it? Switching the radio on is pretty easy. You just press the grey button, which is located just below the push to talk switch. And no, you don't accidentally switch the radio off when you're trying to talk. One thing I have found though is that when you've got it clipped on your belt, when you try and unclip it, you sometimes catch the push to talk button, which can be a bit of a pain. In principle, the AIS is a great feature, and anything that aids safety I think is an absolute bonus. The problem I had with it is I typically only use the radio in the Solent, and really you have to dial down pretty much all of the settings not to have it triggering every 5 or 6 seconds, indicating that there's a boat in close proximity. So it depends on what you're going to do with it. I think it's fantastic if you're probably further offshore and your boat is not equipped with an AIS system. But if you've got lots of boats because you're in close proximity to the shore and there's lots of activity, it's more of a distraction than it is an aid, because you can typically see everything around you and don't need the radio pinging every 5 seconds to let you know that there's something close to you. In summary then, the volume on the unit is absolutely great. Maximum 6 watts transmitting power is great to have. Float and flash is a nice feature. AIS, well, As I said, it depends on how you're going to be using the radio. For me, it wasn't really worth the added expense that this radio has if you want that AIS feature. But anything that aids safety is great. I just don't think it was necessary for me. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this rather quick review of the ICOM M94DE and look forward to seeing you again on the channel soon.